Welcome everybody. So here's the rig we're starting with. This is a hodgepodge of 1660 Supers and 1660 Ti's. Unfortunately, it looks like most of them are Micron. We do have 3 Hynix cards that have not been BIOS modded. BIOS modding I don't think makes any difference for what we're going to end up working with. Yeah. Anywho, let's hop in real quick. Take a peek at the cards. Looks like they... oh wow, those are running pretty fast. 1965, 1935. So, looks like 1935 is probably where I want to be. Good practice, always duplicate your flight sheet first. I've already done that, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one. Soundwave. That's the name of the rig. This is Geek of All Trades Farm. Doing some tuning for him. Let's go ahead and... let's see here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Too low. So we're starting at 4.121 gigahash at 1023 watts software. So we're already less than half the power as it starts winding up here. Oops, sorry, that is not the right website. That's Nerd Gears. Cool site. Not what we're looking for. So before we were getting 330 to 360 mega hash at between 80 and 100 watts. So it's definitely going to want more core. It looks like they're all taking that offset though, which is fantastic news. Okay, so I just pushed a new flight sheet to it. What I did is I set all of the cores to 1600 with a 150 offset. Looks like that all applied okay. What I'm going to do is gradually step up that core clock until I either get a crash on one of the cards or I get to a pretty good hash rate. So I'm going to say if I can get above 320 mega hash a second on any of these cards, which is the lowest we had on any of them before, I'll call that good. We're getting some of these cards over 6 on the efficiency, which I'm actually pretty happy with. For an older Turing card, especially one with Micron memory, I'm actually pretty happy with that. Wow, the TIs are actually looking really good. We have some almost at 7. Actually, we have one just over 7. Great little cards. We're at 295, so we're getting pretty close on those. 270 on the supers. Right now, they're all behaving pretty much correctly. So I'm going to throw a little bit more core at all of them first, and then eventually I will just be throwing more core at the supers. And I think the supers are where our instability is probably coming from, and I'm guessing the TIs will end up taking more offset than the supers. They're actually still warming up. Hash rates are up. I'm really happy with where the TIs are right now. They're doing about 320 at 49 watts. Really good. That's shaving 20 or 30 watts off per card. Supers need a little more work. Those are only at 280. I will be saving a copy of the flight sheet at all 1600, I believe, core clock. Or 1600 on the TI, 1700 on the supers. That was giving us the best efficiency so far at over 7 on some of these cards. We're down in the, we'll call it 6 average right now. You can see the core clocks here. So I've got 1710 on the supers and 1755 on the TIs. Alright, so here we see with an 1800 megahertz core clock on all of the cards, and we are definitely losing efficiency on the TIs, coming up that much. We gained another 10 mega hash, but we lost 6 watts. So the higher we go, the less efficiency we'll get. I'm going to pump the supers up now to 1900, and I'm going to keep the TIs at 1800. Alright, so we have 3895 mega hash at 730 watts. So that's pretty good. We're not done yet, but we were at 4.12 gigahash at 1,000 and change watts. So we're down about 200 megahash for about 300 watts. So that's really good. We're down 2/3 of one card for 6 cards worth of power. Next up, I'm going to let this run for just a little bit, figure out which cards are accepting the most shares, make sure nothing's rejecting, and the cards that have the highest numbers of shares, I'm going to up the core offset on just a little bit. Alright, so this go around, just push the flight sheet out. I'm taking the core offset up on a few of the 1660 Ti's that were accepting lots more shares than their counterparts. I did have one 1660 Ti that was not actually accepting shares just yet, but I'm going to give this another run with the new OCs. Keep an eye on that one. Make sure that everything is accepting at least something. It's not a perfect art watching the accepted rejected share per card. However, rejected shares will tie to a specific card. So basically, if you have 6 cards, it is possible for card 0 to accept all the shares. But, oh, we got an invalid or stale share. Who? Alright, here we go. So I'm going to let this run for a bit and we'll come back to it, but we're getting accepted shares on everyone. I'm just going to be checking for rejects right now. Everything seems pretty even as far as the best performing cards, which is GPU 0 and 2. Those are the best cards. I did up the offset just a little bit on 12. That one's pretty good too, or 11. So we'll let this run. We'll come back to it. But right now our efficiency is basically 3.9 gigahash at 740 watts. This is not an octominer, so you have to factor in additional overhead and power. But still, that's pretty good. We still have a card at 6. I would definitely run this on the efficient overclocks, though. If you have TIs or supers, lock the core at 1700, put in a 150 offset, lock the MEM at 810, and they seem much happier. Alright, so there's been a little break, but I'm back to it. GPUs 2, 6, 7, and 8. So 1, 5, 6, and 7 were not accepting anywhere near the same amount of shares. It was about a quarter as many. So what I did is I went in and I dropped all of them by 50 megahertz on the core. And you can see the current cores right here, as well as what cards they are. But now you can see I went from 3.6 gigahash pool to 4.3 gigahash pool. So the cards are much, much happier, even though the reported hash rate went down 40 megahash. So you always have to watch for things like that. Same way back in the Ethereum days, you could get something stable that still wasn't, like, happy. So a GPU can show a hash rate which is technically accurate, but it will ill report to the pool. So right now we are at 3.863 at 720. And on the plus side to losing that 40 megahash is we actually lost about 14 watts of power as well. So that's pretty solid. I don't hate that at all. I'm going to let this ride a little bit longer, and we will see. I did create a second flight sheet for efficiency, and I'll show you that one. This is honestly what I would recommend running. MCLK 810, CCLK 1700, COFF 150. Start there if your card is hashing away great, bump it up a little bit. If you're not getting many accepted shares, maybe bump it down a little bit. So that's what you can see here. The good cards are at 170, the bad ones are at 125. Okay, here we have the efficiency tune ironed out. You can see our efficiencies are actually really quite good. I did have to drop a little bit, but we're at 3609 megahash at 598 watts. Pretty good. That's an overall efficiency of 6.05 megahash per watt. And here is the flight sheet. So by and large, the bad cards have 100, which is what we would expect, but a lot of them are able to take on the TIs anyway, 115, and then I've got a couple that even on the lower clocks can take 170 and 150. So really, really impressed on the efficiency there. If you want to drop from 6.05 megahash per watt to 5.29, you can use these to kind of give you a base layer. Here, the worst card took 125 offset, the best 170. So yeah, feel free to go ahead and use those to your heart's content, but here's what our dashboard looks like. It's showing 600 here, but the miner is showing 598 or 599. So either way, pretty close. But that's pretty solid, honestly, 3.609 gigahash. And it's accepting shares like crazy. You can see the pool hash rate still, it's coming down, but we're in really good shape. All the cards are healthily accepting shares, so I don't think we'll have any stability problems. We'll check into it for GOAT. But yeah, I think the efficiency tune is also nailed. So I guess it's time to go back to the higher power one, since that was his request. Thanks for following along, and yeah, hopefully tuning is fun to watch. It's actually kind of fun to do, so catch you guys next time.